It's NFC East or bust for the Commanders. Please step into my office. Welcome to Denton's office. It's a new web series we're doing here on the Team 980. I am Denton Day. This is my office. You can tell it's my office because I have a whiteboard. Still getting used to what side it's on, but I got a whiteboard, and only people that are very important have a whiteboard. You can follow me on Twitter at the Denton Day. 2024 is the year of the Commanders, and it's their year to return to glory, at least in the NFC East. We're 6 games into the season. For the first time in what feels like an eternity, the team is the betting favorite to win the NFC East after being 10-1 to start the season. Maybe you don't care about betting, but I do, and I have a whiteboard. This team is moving in the right direction. And it really starts with Jayden Daniels, the guy at quarterback. And despite the fact the team lost to Baltimore this past weekend, Jayden played arguably his best game when it comes to just being a passer. The anticipation, the throw in tight windows, not being afraid when down multiple scores. I mean, how many times over the last 30 years, with a litany of different quarterbacks, has a quarterback gone down 2 scores and then all of a sudden the game is over? They start pushing, making bad plays, taking bad sacks, turnovers, you name it. It was none of that with Jayden Daniels while he was in a hostile environment, playing against a pretty good defense in Baltimore that made him and the Washington offense one-dimensional, and it still didn't matter. Now, yeah, that's kind of like a moral victory thing, especially if you look at the defense, because the defense was atrocious against Baltimore. They made Zay Flowers look like one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. He's good. He's not that good. He's not 130 some odd yards in the first half. Kind of good. Not many receivers in the NFL are. They couldn't stop Derrick Henry. Yeah, they held Baltimore to less than their average of rushing yards per game, but their average was nearly 200 or 170 or whatever the hell it was. They held them below that, but Derrick Henry still went for nearly $130 on 20 some odd carries with 2 tutties. That's not exactly a win. The defense needs to be better. That's the one downside with the Commanders that we've seen so far through 6 games. They can't get pressure. They can't create turnovers. That might be an answer, but we'll see if Adam Peters wants to be aggressive in the trade deadline on potentially getting himself a Maxx Crosby. He doesn't like to give up picks, Adam Peters does. I can't blame him, by the way, because they seem to draft really, really well. However, I would argue that a guy like Maxx Crosby, you might not get him in the 2nd or 3rd round. So if that's all it takes, I'd pull the trigger. If it takes a 1st round pick, I'd think about it. I still might pull the trigger. I can think of maybe 6 defensive ends that are better than him. Maybe. That's a hard maybe. He's at the very least a top 7 D end in this league. You're not getting much better than that. More likely than not in the late 1st round, which is where this team's going to be drafting, because they're going to win the NFC East. If you don't believe me, maybe you're not a believer in Jayden Daniels, I would encourage you to get your head out your ass, because Jayden Daniels is absolutely him. He is the messiah of this organization. But if you look at where this organization is and then look at everybody else in the NFC East, you see nothing but turmoil, nothing but like flames on this side, nothing but wasteland on this side. I mean, the Giants have a great defense and they hate their quarterback. Dexter Lawrence might be the best player straight up in the NFC, yet they hate their quarterback. So much so they gave us an entire television series about how they hate their quarterback. And we're 6 games into the season and they still don't seem to like their quarterback. And then you look at Dallas and they hate each other. And Jerry Jones gets on radio and says, you can't ask me hard questions because I'm a billionaire. They hate everybody. CeeDee Lamb got paid and still hates everybody. They paid Dak Prescott and he's only played worse. It is turmoil in Dallas, and they can't run the football. You think they're looking at Derrick Henry saying, damn it, I wish we got him. Defensively, I mean, I know Washington's defense ain't all that great, but Dallas's, after losing Joe Witt Jr. and Dan Quinn, they look like a bunch of pedestrians. Micah Parsons is hurt. Lawrence is hurt. Like all these guys are hurt, and then the guys that are healthy are not very good. Trayvon Diggs got paid way too much money. That was a product of Washington not having good quarterbacks because Terry McLaurin has made that man a little child. And the problem was Taylor Heinicke, Carson Wentz, Sam Allen, like all these dudes just underthrow Terry McLaurin. It's not going to happen this year with Jayden Daniels. And then you get to Philadelphia. And Philadelphia, if New York hates their quarterback, if Dallas hates each other, Philadelphia really hates their head coach. So much so that this dude shaved his head. I never went to private school. I don't know how private school worked. However, I didn't go to public school, and I know how public school worked. You take a guy that's having some issues, and then all of a sudden that guy disappears for a week, and he comes back with his head shaved. That's a problem. That is never a sign of things going well. You disappear, come back with a shaved head, things are going poorly. And things are going poorly in Philadelphia. Sirianni's cussing out fans after barely beating the Browns. I mean, Washington, we beat the doors off of the Browns a couple weeks ago to the point where Jayden Daniels didn't even play in the fourth quarter. And then this dude brings his kids to the press conference. I mean, they're in hell right now is Philadelphia. I don't care how talented they are. If their head coach is being a silly goose, and maybe silly goose isn't the right word because I happen to think silly goose is kind of a cute, endearing term. Nothing about Sirianni is cute or endearing. If he has a whiteboard in his office, he's about to lose the whiteboard. He doesn't deserve a whiteboard because only very important people have whiteboards. Washington is in a position for the first time in 30 years. And I know what you're asking. I'm 30. I'm not even 30 years old. I'm 29. And you're saying, Den, you're 29 years old and you have a whiteboard? I do have a whiteboard. I also have a competent franchise and a quarterback for the first time in my lifetime that I can look at and say, for years to come, this guy is going to be the dude. But more so, at least in the short term, he turned this organization, a combination of Jayden Daniels, Dan Quinn, and a lot of Adam Peters. They have turned this organization from the bottom of the barrel in the NFL to a team that's going to win the NFC East. And potentially, assuming they can get some things right on defense, could be an answer. Assuming they get things right on defense, they're going to be really, really good. Because think of this. If you can defensively, if you can just get 2 stops, if you can get 3 stops in a game, you're going to win. Because the offense is going to do its job. They didn't hang 40 on Baltimore. Unfortunate, yes, obviously. A bad penalty on Benjamin St-Juste that should not have been a penalty, kind of adjusted the game flow a little bit, a blocked field goal. Like, who knows what happens if some of those mistakes, well, I mean, the St-Juste thing wasn't a mistake, but if some of those extracurriculars don't happen, who knows what this offense does. But they played well against Baltimore, and you have the luxury of a young quarterback that is consistently, week by week, getting better. And if he's already as good as he is now, and hot damn is he good, imagine what it's going to be like when the game really starts to slow down. They're winning the NFC East. You might as well, if you're not already, you might as well jump on. Thanks for coming to my office. Now get out.